thoughts of Mike Steph, this marks a new beginning. Thanks for supporting a total reinvention. The soul is still here, but the vibe's a little different. Unpredictable, hide the kids and the women. Sports of all sorts, music, mixed with living. Rep New York City, but ain't the politician. Always bring the heat, Steph bacon in the kitchen. Big shout to y'all, I appreciate the listen. Donnie put the rest, but I'm still in the best in the world of what I do. All y'all know the rest, I live it. What up, people? I said what up, people. Welcome to a special Sprinkle of Salt edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best in the world at what he does. AKA, this week, you've heard of the $6 million man, right? The $6 million woman, right? Maybe I'm showing my age. Well, this week, I am the $6 man. I'm not even a $600 man. I'm not even a $6,000 man. I'm damn sure not the $6 million man. I'm the $6 man for reasons that I will keep to myself. I had every intention, even though I didn't let y'all know last week, I had every intention on taking this week off. I'm on vacation for my shoot job. I was out the city. I went back down to North Kakalaka, see my cousin New, see various cousins and in-laws, see the newest edition, spank one particular cousin in some NCAA football, and just to get out the city. So I'm like, you know what? One of the new things that I told myself was, listen, there's no longer gonna be any type of shoehorning, making sure I get a podcast episode in at the detriment of my happiness. So I was like, look, next week I'm on vacation. When I come back, I'll hit the ground running again, right? Listen, I was gone for 4 weeks. Gave y'all 4 episodes in damn near 1 weekend. So I figured I got enough material out in the atmosphere that, y'all could deal with not seeing me for a week. But of course, that did not happen because you'll see me on the screen. The reason I'm on right now is due to breaking news. Robert Saleh, former head coach of the New York Jets, got relieved of his duties. How about this? About 20 minutes before I was checking out my hotel down in Wake Forest. I received the news from my West Coast correspondent, Tyler McDowell of Gimmick Infringement, via the group chat. And I looked at it, and when I say I was speechless, I was speechless. I'm like, wow. And then news start trickling in. Now I'm starting to get plugged in. I start listening to ESPN New York, the app, because I'm in North Carolina. It's not like I can turn on the radio, regardless. And I'm listening to Dan Grasser. Pretty much it's breaking news. Then I continue listening to Barton Horn. Start listening to Michael Kay. Like, in my 8.5, 9-hour journey back to New York, because I drive, probably half that time was spent listening to various guests on these 3 shows come in and give their opinions. Damian Woody, former guard, former offensive lineman of the New York Jets, currently from ESPN. Mike Tannenbaum, former GM of these New York Jets. And, of course, the pundits, Michael Kay, Don LaGreca, Alan Horn. A lot of scuttlebutt of who really is to blame. Is there anybody to blame? And who is to blame? Oh, and I forgot the two other people I listened to. Listen to the Badlands podcast, the Premier Jet podcast. And they had opinions. Connor Rodgers and Joe Caporoso. They had opinions. And to tell you the truth, I probably agree with their opinion more than anybody else. Sans Woody and Bart Scott, because I mean, like they're players and they're kind of well, at least Bart is probably kind of fully entrenched in the Jet landscape right now. But neither here nor there. I just had a sprinkle of salt last week detailing my aggravation, my disappointment in their performance against the Denver Broncos at JetLife Stadium in the dreary rain and weather, the 10-9 loss against Bo Nix, giving up less than 100 yards passing, and yet our offense has been stuck in the mud. I even there was voices then talking about Robert Saleh needs to be fired. I actually entitled it "Fire Robert, Fire Saleh." Who knows? Woody Johnson has never relieved a head coach of his duties in season, but there's a lot of blame to go around. There's a lot of blame to go around, and that's why I'm on here today to give you my opinion on who to blame, or maybe the series of events that led up to this firing. And I got a list of people. I got 4 people in particular, and none of them are players. Well, actually, there's one player that we'll get to last. Now, this list of people that I'm going to give you are in no particular order. No particular order. You can order the way you want. You know, it's almost like what they call it, the way we had to do the mayoral uh, election a couple years ago in the NYC, preference voting. So you can vote 1, 2, 3, or 4 who you think is most responsible for Robert Saleh being fired. And being the fact this is a sprinkle of salt, I might as well get to the gist at hand, the topic at hand. I'm not even look. I'm still in relaxed mode. Y'all know in football mode. I mean, in season mode, I usually got a t-shirt, usually got a jersey. Listen, I'm in vacation mode, but neither here nor there. I do this for you, and you, and you, and you, especially you. Fuck you. Do it for you and him too, but especially for her. Ah, anyway, first on my list. Well, the first person that's on my list, Woody Johnson, the owner of the New York Jets, and or as he would like to be called, Ambassador Woody Johnson, which is a whole story in itself, but I'm going to try to not get into that for so much. But the very important part of this ambassadorship that he's still claiming to hold, even though the person that gave him that title, that bestowed that responsibility upon him, has been in office and going on 4 years. But I digress. Trying to get back in office, but the former ambassador of the United Kingdom. And that's a very important part. That's a very important um, detail to the story. Woody Johnson was the former ambassador of the United Kingdom. Guess where the New York Jets played this past Sunday? Played this past weekend. Yeah, in London against the Vikings. They lost 23-17, and in some ways it was closer than the score. In a lot of ways, it was nowhere indicative of how this game played out. They were down 17-zip early, and they fought back to get it within 17-10. But as what they normally do, the defense failed to get that critical stop after they scored to bring it to 17-10. The offense started getting some type of momentum, even though Rodgers was getting his ass whooped. There was no running game whatsoever. I think they might have had 14 yards rushing, uh, something like that. Uh, Garrett Wilson got targeted 22 times. Alan Lazard dropped 4 passes. But listen, the main point is they got embarrassed in front of Woody Johnson's cronies, Woody Johnson's fellow billionaire friends in London. And I believe personally that he made an impulsive decision as soon as that final gun went off. Matter of fact, as soon as they was down 17-10 and that final gun went off, he made a decision like, I was crowing. They made me eat my words. Like, I was over here. I was damn near the king. I was in the suite with all these billionaires, all these diplomats, all these people of power, people of influence. And I'm like, look at my toys out there. Look at my toys. Yeah, I made a point to make sure they came to the UK so y'all could see them live and in color. And guess what? They saw live and in color. Them going down quickly, 17 zip. Like I said, I think personally, according to Woody, well, in Woody's mind, Saleh was on a thin string to begin with. Remember, this coach, to me, came into the season a dead man walking. Woody Johnson let it be known that, listen, I'm going to put the money up. Joe's going to get these players. We got enough talent, and I expect results. Aaron Rodgers said as much. Like, listen, at the end of the day, if we don't get the results that's wanted, all of us are going to be out of here, me included. Coach, GM, some players, gone. Done. Now, throughout the last 24 hours, everybody's saying, well, yeah, Woody Johnson pulled the trigger, but Aaron Rodgers was the one who pretty much nudged him and actually gave him the bullet to pull the trigger. Now, during a press conference yesterday afternoon, he was asked, did he consult with Aaron Rodgers? And he said, well, I spoke to him the other day, but this topic did not come up. Maybe the topic specifically did not come up. I mean, we're talking semantics here, right? Like, you call Aaron to see how he's doing because he was banged up. Matter of fact, he was banged up, so you called to see how he was doing. You mean to tell me it just focused on the injury? Just focused on his physical well-being? When you brought him into this franchise and you agreed to pay the price to be the man, to the man. You mean to tell me you don't believe you want us to believe that there's no, I wouldn't say clandestine agreement, but there's no relationship in which y'all could talk and he can have a direct line to you? Like, listen, it's not what I came here for. Um, I'm not saying there's things that need to be done, but things need to change. I'm not saying per se that um, this guy needs to go, you know, this guy over here. No, I'm not saying he needs to go. No. But things need to change. There have been signs that Woody was not enamored with Robert Saleh. And I mean, think about it. Going into 3 seasons, he was 20-36. But that leads us to Robert Saleh. Number 2 on the list of people who share the blame or who can be blamed for this firing. Robert Saleh had a 30 and 26 20-36 record over 3+ years. 5 games into the season, he was under 500. Now people could say, well, bounce here, bounce there. They could easily be 4-1 before the season started. Everybody expected this team to be 4-1 at least. Like, everybody figured they chalked up the 49ers game as probably a loss. Um, Tennessee was supposed to be a win. All right. New England should have been a win. Okay. And that's when they looked the most dominant. Denver was expected to be a win. Not only did they lose, they lost ugly. And then, yes, preseason, Minnesota was supposed to be a win. Now they're 5-0. So, at the very least, 3-2. Being under 500, 5 games in, especially with the listless performance, all the penalties, all the mistakes, all the undisciplined play, something was going on. Like I said, he came into the season on notice. This team was to live up to the expectations or else. He's been different this year. Like last year, I think he laid the groundwork for what he tried to adjust or what he tried to rectify this year by fanboying out when Aaron Rodgers first came on before the injury. Remember Hard Knocks last year? That showed us a lot of what was going on during training camp. They had mics on everybody. There was a couple times Saleh got caught just like being all struck, like, wow, you saw that throw? Man, like, he's on outside. Like, yeah, we got this. Like, it's beautiful. Like, it's going to be a beautiful marriage. And Aaron Rodgers seems to me to be the type of individual, the type of man that, yes, he wants his ego stroked, but if you're doing too much fawning over him, he loses respect. Like, he's not really trying to butt heads with you, but at the same time, he wants you to show he wants you to show a spine. He wants you to be upfront. And for Robert Saleh to pretty much um, do things somewhat passive aggressively when he wasn't enamored with Aaron Rodgers probably led to a lot of acrimony between them, in which I think Ian O'Connor said in one of his interviews that the love affair, quote unquote, between Saleh and Rodgers that they had last season is over. And that was in the offseason. This is before. Now, I will give credit where credit is due because Diana Rossini of The Athletic did have an article beginning of the season saying that the building was in disarray. Something that I actually fought against. Because I'm like, listen, come on, like, it always got to be a problem. Evidently, even though everybody poo-pooed her reporting, myself included, evidently, she knew exactly what she was talking about because there's no way, once again, there's no way in hell you let go of your head coach 5 games into the season, 5 games into a make-or-break season, 5 games into a season in which a lot of people was trying to discuss whether he should be brought back after last season. Just saying. The narrative that was out there was that Rodgers came into the building and had all the power. So Saleh spent most of the time this offseason trying to show that he was the man. He was the buck stopped with him, but it was too late. It was too late. Once you start glazing someone, what you're supposed to stop in mid-stroke, are you supposed to, right before they climax, you're supposed to, whoa, pull out? Sorry to say it in those terms, but can't be a tease. Either you go in all the way or you don't start at all. Because best believe, when you're teased and you go halfway, the recipient is aggravated, and the recipient is looking at you like you're a sucker. Man up. Oh, oh, you can't take this. You can't handle this. Can't handle this jelly. Just say this started this this series of events. Follow me here. First, in the off season during mandatory minicamp, which Aaron Rodgers missed, right? He said to the media that it was an unexcused absence from minicamp. You do know how uh, Aaron Rodgers is uh, wide, right? You do know that this man has cut off his parents for decades, right? Do you think that by questioning him or chastising him in the media and you didn't do it mano y mano, that this is going to get off on the right foot this season? If you want to say it's unexcused in house, that's one thing. But if you go out there and he's who knows where, Egypt or whatever, and then he hears back that, whoa, yo, your coach just threw you under the bus. Do you think he's not going to come back with an attitude? Do you think he's not going to come back with an agenda? Do you think he's going to be like, look, that's my boy. I'm going to hold him down? No. Am I saying the last 2 years? I mean, last 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers has bagged it? No, no, I won't say that because it just hasn't. I don't believe so. But you're dealing with a sensitive individual, and that was strike number one. Strike number two. Also, during training camp, he spoke out of school about Rodgers not playing in the preseason whatsoever. And Rodgers like, oh, that's news for me. Even the way he responded was more like, okay, first I had an unexcused absence, like he's the teacher, like I'm a freaking child. Then he's telling me that I'm not playing. Matter of fact, he's telling y'all that I'm not playing without even confirming with me. I understand. I might understand the reasoning, but isn't that something that we should have a conversation about before he tells the media that? Strike number two. Also, this energy that Robert Saleh exuded was gone. Like when he came in, one of his mottos, all gas, no brake. Well, let's see how that worked out. One of the reasons why he was on the short list of candidates for head coaching possibilities, head coaching jobs, was the energy he showed on the sideline when he was defensive coordinator with the 49ers. Everybody's like, that man, I mean, look, the defense is no joke. That man is a leader of men. That man is also going to be players coach. Have you maybe for a handful of times in 3 years, have you ever seen that version of Robert Saleh on outside line? Yeah, I know he was dealt a bad hand, but still, you have that famous far away look like, can't believe this is happening. I got 8 kids. I got to deal with 53 of them right here. They said the jet curse wasn't a thing. I think it's a thing. It's almost like he had this look like, can't believe I'm here. Have you ever seen him actually talk to any players on the sideline? Or is he just like really just like there? Like somebody does asinine penalty, Does he go over to him like, look, that can't, it's not acceptable? I'm not saying you got to put on the show, but it's almost like he was in a world of his own. You didn't see him talking to defense coordinators. You didn't see him talking to offense coordinators. You didn't see him talking to players. You didn't see him talking to the personnel. He was just standing there looking like Mr. Clean without the earring. Just saying. What exactly did you do? If it's almost similar to, but different than Nick Sirianni. If you're an offensive coach and the offense does not run efficiently with you in charge and you don't deal with the defense, what do we need you for? Yeah, you could say you're a CEO, but what are you CEOing? I digress. Now, he looked depressed and like a beaten man, like I said. Of course, on his way out, he had to make sure he let everybody know, all the national media members know that he was blindsided by it, that he was escorted out, which is kind of common practice when you get fired or when you get let go of your duties. They just escort you out. It's not like they they dragged him out. They escorted him out the building because that's, I don't know why they do that, but shoot. Listen, the one job I got fired from, I went to pick up my last check and they had me standing at that front door and they was like, "Oh, we're gonna get it." Like I was gonna go ape shit or something, but neither here nor there. I had every right to. Trust me, I had every right to, but I didn't because I am a professional at the end of the day. You know, he had to let the media know that he was on the verge of making changes on the offense, i.e., maybe taking some responsibility from Nathaniel Hackett, who we will talk about very shortly. But he got fired before he was able to do that. Now, remind you, the reason I bring up these media leaks, these these media um, stories that wasn't a source, got directly from him. It's like this is the day you got fired, and the first thing you're doing is like, let me put my story out before they try to say, put all the negative stories out for me. Let me make sure I get first blood. But this is the same guy who last year had a relationship with WFAN legend Joe Meningo, and Joe Meningo exposed their conversations that they had on text to the whole world on air about how he was feeling, about how he's feeling about the quarterback situation, how he was feeling about X and Y and Z, why he was doing this and why he wouldn't do that. Like you didn't even see the foresight of, okay, is he your friend because he's your friend, or he's your friend because of the position that you hold? Evidently, there was no loyalty whatsoever because at the at the very end, he gave away privileged information that you gave to your friend, and your friend burnt you. Now, to me personally, I could say the off-season um, declaration about the unexcused absence with Aaron Rodgers was the first step. No, that was the first step. Do you think Aaron Rodgers? I mean, remember he was saying, you know what? The problem is that um, there's a lot of stuff that's getting leaked out of this house, out of this building, and we need to stop that. Now we kind of know who the leaks were or who the leak was. It was like similar to back in the day, everybody knew that Mike McCagnon, the former GM, was the source, and he gave all the beat writers all these quotes about what was going on in the building. Pretty much like, look, absolve me. Look, I'm giving y'all juicy stories. So make sure that when I get the axe, y'all take care of me. Now, lastly, was he really ever head coach? Head coach? Did he really? Was he ever head coach material? If you think about it, remember how he allowed the team to ride and die for Mike White when Zach Wilson, I think was it Mike White's was his rookie year, sophomore year? I mean, not rookie year, second year when he got hurt and he got benched, and everybody they start making Mike White T-shirts and they wore them in unison in front of the quote unquote franchise quarterback who had got benched, and he was cheering that on. He allowed that to happen. You allow one of your players that they still had a lot invested in to be minimized by the rest of the team that he was supposed to be charged with leading. But you were the ultimate leader. In actuality, you was the ringleader of that. Like, I understand how he had the cape for Zach Wilson every week when everybody knew he didn't want to and he was stuck with him. But maybe, just maybe, Woody Johnson was still store for that because there was always that talk that Woody Johnson, the reason Zach Wilson was drafted was because of Woody Johnson. The reason Zach Wilson stayed, kept on getting chance after chance after chance was because of Woody Johnson, because of some type of connection he had with his family. So I'm quite sure he didn't like the treatment of Zach Wilson by Robert Saleh. And I think at the first inclination, the first real opportunity, like, you know what? He's effing up my team. Gone. Person number 3, Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett, the son of former offensive coordinator Paul Hackett, known for his garbage ass play calling. You know, Paul Hackett was a former OC of these New York Jets in the late 80s, early 90s, under, I believe, under Pete Coslet. No, under Bruce Coslet, who was another, you know. Nathaniel Hackett has continued the legacy passed down to his family of being a shit play caller. As a head coach, he was bad in Denver. He only made it 15 games before they canned his ass. Then he came here and it didn't work out without Aaron Rodgers last year. I mean, to me, he was exposed if he wasn't exposed before in Denver. If you think about it, the only time he had success was with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. But more importantly, he didn't call the plays in Green Bay. Matt LaFleur called the plays in Green Bay. But since Rodgers and Hackett left, LaFleur has had success after them. Rodgers and Hackett did together, and this is the end result. The Jets have been scammed from the beginning by this duo, Hackett and Rodgers. One of the issues of this team is the inept offense, in which Robert Saleh has nothing to do with the offense, which was probably his problem. Because even though you're not fully invested, you still have to have a pulse on that offense. Same thing Rex Ryan used to get blamed for was too much on the defense, didn't care about the offense. You're the CEO, you're the head coach. You have to have a say. If you think they're running the ball too much, pass the ball. If you think they're passing the ball too much, run the ball. If you think they're doing something, these back shoulder passes over and over and over again, tell them, listen, get our star players involved, get Brees Hall involved, get Brandon Allen involved. It's your job, but it's Hackett. Who's running this offense? Rodgers and Hackett. Who is brought here to make them better? Aaron Rodgers and by extension Hackett. Hackett doesn't make adjustments. He runs an antiquated system. He doesn't utilize his personnel correctly. or efficiently. I think there's a stat that through 5 games, do you know we're pretty much on par with what we had last year with Zach Wilson? I mean, if you think about it, personnel is pretty much the same when it's skill position wise, except for Mike Williams and Braylon Allen. But most importantly, Aaron Rodgers. Isn't this supposed to be better than the Zach Wilson era? Which brings me to Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, blood is on his hands, whether he wants to admit it or not. In two of our games, two of our losses, our last two losses to be exact, he did not get the job done. He did not get the job that he was brought here to get done. He was brought here to put us over the hump. He was brought here to be clutching last minute opportunities. Against Denver, not once, but twice. He had the ball under 200 with under 2 minutes remaining to lead us to a game-winning field goal. The closest he got was a 50-yard field goal in the rain. This past Sunday, ball in his hands, under 2 minutes to go. He has the Jets driving. He throws a game-clinching interception. But prior to that interception, he missed Garrett Wilson wide open. That would have been a touchdown and potential game winner. All these one possession games that we've been in, the last two specifically, have ended up in losses, not because of the defense, even though they have their flaws, but because of the offense, because of the man, the trigger man, the man behind the center. Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee show today and said all this talk about him being the reason why Robert Saleh got fired is bull. It's conspiracy theory. The narratives are false. Well, he said, he has no problem with Saleh. Saleh's a good guy and, love him, but things happen. These things happen. He feels away because, if a couple plays went this way or that way, and on Sunday, if they win that game, this probably doesn't happen. Probably doesn't. Or maybe it does. Remember that Thursday night game against the Patriots in which he was locked in the zone and he came to the sideline and Saleh went to hug him and he pushed him away. A lot was made of that. A lot of people say, looking too much into it, which I agree to a certain degree, but all this stuff, all these things bubble to the surface. All these things bubble to the surface. So now with Brett Albrecht as our interim coach, what's going to happen? He said everything is on the table, as in, maybe shuffling of responsibilities. He over the next 36 hours, he'll take a wide view and try to figure out what's going on or what he needs to do. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be open to being flexible with the interim coach? Or is he looking at him like, well, you're just a lame duck anyway? But at the same time, who knows? If this season falls off a cliff, does Aaron Rodgers even come back? See, my big problem with the firing, I'm not saying Saleh didn't deserve to get fired. It's the timing. One could argue that he shouldn't have been the coach once they got Aaron Rodgers, he shouldn't have been the coach. But at the same time, if we're to believe what everybody says, the culture that was established here by Robert Saleh was points, one of the reasons that Aaron Rodgers wanted to come to the New York Jets. So I give him the first year, then he got hurt. Now, if you knew you were going to run this back and you saw the piss poor job that Robert Saleh did last year, yeah, I know. Defensively, they were stellar. Defensively, they were worth those 7 wins because damn sure wasn't on offense. But you could have nipped a lot of things in the bud and set yourself up for success this year. One could argue, why run it back with this coach when you know um, things aren't going the way they're supposed to be? Now you're at a crossroads of, if things work out, things pop off, great. If things don't pop off, everybody getting shown the door, and now we're back to where we started at, like forever. Do you know it's been 14 years since we've been in the playoffs? We are tied with the longest streak among all the major sports leagues of the playoff drought of 14 years. I think we're tied with the Buffalo Sabres, also a New York team, but upstate Western New York. It seems, well, matter of fact, it has been so far ago, so long ago, when those back-to-back AFC Championship games led by Rex Ryan, and we've been stuck in the mud since. We've had one winning season, and we coughed up the bit in the final game of the season in Buffalo against Rex Ryan and kept us out the playoffs with that Fitzmagic year, which was smoke and mirrors. Whoa! It's only smoke and mirrors. So, when I say, I'm going to wrap this up like this. When I say this has been one of the most frustrating first 5 weeks of a Jet season that I've dealt with because of all the expectations. The only thing that's blunting it a little bit is because my New York Mets are on a magical run. So my focus is a little bit divided. But you couldn't tell me that we have Aaron Rodgers, yes, at his older age, yes, at his not as at his peak, but certainly better than the quarterbacks we had, that the results would be the same. It's enough to make someone think that it's just preordained that this team is just cursed, i.e., the curse of Joe Namath, i.e., the deal that Joe Namath made. I don't know. I don't know. But we enter this enter this upcoming Monday night matchup against the Buffalo Bills with a chance to actually leave that game in first place of the division. We're 2-3, they're 3-2. We beat them. We're both 3-3, and we got the tiebreaker because head to head we beat them. So all is not lost. The Chiefs are 5-0, but do they look like a 5-0 team? And at this point in time, my bravado, my braggadocious ways of thinking about my New York Jets has to be tempered a bit. Yes, I'm actually well aware of the reality of the situation. I've been a Jets fan for 42 years, 43 seasons. Unfortunately, I'm used to this. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I don't even have no witty jokes to talk about right now because it is what it is. But yeah, yeah. So can't believe this. I can't believe this. This is what Woody Johnson did to Robert Saleh. Listen here, Reek. You gonna listen to me. Gotta get out of here. It's here. Yo, Robert. Robert. Get the fuck out my office. Fuck out my face. What I tell you? I told you one more loss. Matter of fact, that's what Aaron Rodgers did to Robert Saleh. Fuck Woody. And this is Robert Saleh with his media. Can't believe they did that. Yes, they did. So that's it for now. This Monday night is a very big game for a million reasons. One, because we need to win. Two, it kind of sucked that you fired your coach and you still lost. For all that, you could have just kept everything status quo. So I'll be back next week. Regular scheduled program, regular scheduled time, regular scheduled day, late Sunday night, early Monday morning. Matter of fact, let's run that back. Late Monday night, early Tuesday morning. Because if I'm going to give you an episode, I might as well give you an episode fresh off whatever happened at Jet Life Stadium. If I'm going to give you a sprinkle of salt, then I might as well wait to give y'all the back end of this topic. Also, I'll be talking about my amazings and hopefully talking about game one. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to touch the money. I'll be talking about my amazing Mets, their magical run so far in the postseason, and hopefully it will continue. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do because y'all will not be labeling me as a jinx. So until next week, I will see y'all later. Goodbye. Oh, almost forgot. Please check out this week's edition of Hidden Gems Football with our new format. 3 parts. 3, not 1, not 2, 3 parts. But check out part 1, available now on the 19 Media Group YouTube channel, talking about this Thursday night's, tomorrow night's matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, head by my man, my partner, my bro, the Mojo King. Yes, I am not on that episode. Will I be on part 2 or 3? Only one way to find out. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Leave a comment here, leave a comment there, leave a comment everywhere, and you will be the first ones to hear it. Bye. I said bye. Mother effer. You see that arm? That arm was my son trying to get his charger. And he doesn't hear not one word I'm saying, so I'm going. Goodbye.